To call this meeting to order. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. I don't see any. Motion, be it resolved that council approve the agenda of the special meeting dated March the 3rd, 2022 as presented. A mover and a seconder, please. Pat and Doug. All in favor? Carried. Item 4, business 4.1, 2022 capital budget discussion. Guess I'm going to turn the floor over to you, John and Steve, whenever you feel free to come in.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. So today what we're doing is going through having a council meeting, open council meeting to discuss the capital budget for 2022. I thought the best way to proceed with this is to do a little recap of where we started last year, what we did, what we were able to do, and where we can go from here forward. So if it's possible, I'd like John S. to bring up the first document. I'm hoping everyone has it in front of them in case it's hard to read. Even the printout I have on mine is a little bit tough, but so you have that in front of you. You'll see at the left, the town of Cobalt approved 2021 capital budget. And I'll go through this briefly. Basically, it's just a recap to let us know where we started last year and where we ended up. So the real meat and potatoes will come, I think, on the fourth document where we're looking at where do we want to go this year, what would we like to do. And certainly we're looking for the input from council, and between now and the next meeting, anybody of the public that is watching and will watch tomorrow when it's posted has any comments, then this is the process that we go through. So when it comes to capital, we normally group it into 6 or 7 different areas. So we'll start with the municipal buildings. We had hoped when we started that the work that we would do, we would have work at the head frame, the fire museum, the library, the town office, and the community hall. So you'll see in the next document exactly what we're able to accomplish, but the majority of the funding for all of this stuff is also on this spreadsheet. It was kind of big to look at, but we were able to fund everything except for $8,500 in property taxes. And that's, the municipal taxes has a column that's important to note because that's where it impacts us directly. In other words, our major funders, excuse me, fund at 100%. So that's what we were planning to do with the municipal buildings. So the biggie, of course, is the Public Works, which will show up as the $800,000 budget and $800,000 loan. The actual payouts, the annual payments or monthly payments will come up in the operations budget. The water department, another good area where we did the lining of the water tank, and there's a number of things down at the water plant upgrades that I'll ask David to comment on at the next slide. And the sewer department, of course, is the council approved assimilative capacity study that the intent is that it brings us to an ECA approval for our sewage system. The roads, we had some road repairs and a paving project. And as you can see, the purchase of a trench box was long overdue. Planning department, normally years and years and years, it went almost at zero. It's now we're into the middle of an official plan and a actual zoning bylaw coming up in 2022. We had applied for funding under the Parks Tech Park, never did receive it last year. And the fire department, we budgeted for 4 sets of bunker gear. So you can see it scrunched up there a little bit. Hopefully you can all see. So it was a $1.3 million budget. Capital expenses, that's what we budgeted for, and we intended to pay $8,500 of our own pocket, or the taxpayer's pocket, and away from there. The next The next document goes into a little bit more detail. We managed to get approval to, under the gas tax on municipal buildings as heritage sites to do some work. As you can see, we're unsuccessful in the head frame, in so much as the contractor that we did contract to do the work showed up, got up there and said he wasn't able to do the work and would require more engineering. So we're looking at that. The fire museum, there was again a contract. They did some work and then ran into some structural problems that they felt they couldn't proceed any further. We've had engineers look at it, give us a recommendation. Now we're in the process, long process of trying to find a contractor to do that fix. We managed to get enough done on the library. The library, I think, was a fairly good year for them. Now we have a new roof. That roof was in trouble. We had the Drummond Cairn, a lot of work there, and I think people are very happy with that work. We did some upgrades on our security system, and number 6, the community hall elevator thing was dropped mid-year. So, although there was a budget amount, there was no expenditures. The public works, I'll speak a little bit about this because I was involved mainly with it. David is the chap that is on the ground person, keeping an eye on things as it goes along. We're pretty well where we thought we would be budget-wise. We're not expecting, an over expenditure there. We do have some contingency funding. So we've actually paid out 459. The building is paid for, the foundation's paid for. Now we have to finalize plumbing, mechanical, and electrical, and working with the building inspector and the contractors on that. As you know, there was a holdup. Hopefully, as you know, there was a holdup in the supply chain for insulation. So finally, we got the insulation in just this last week. Water plant upgrades. If it's okay, I'd like to turn that over to David so he can explain a little bit about 9, 10, and 11.
The water tank itself has
The
water tank relining it's completed now. So it has all new patches put in the inside of the water tank. The epoxy paint's been put in and it's back in operation. So it was a good job, much needed job, and it got cleaned inside. Water plant itself, the security system got installed, so we have new cameras outside, 4 new cameras. They are put to our actual cell phones too, so we can monitor the security that way. If anybody's in the yard trying to break in or whatever they'd like to do around our water plant. The stainless steel filter piping has been done. It was actually not PVC, it was steel pipe. It's all changed to stainless steel, so water flow is better, less turbidity in our pipes. And our chlorine system has been upgraded, so it's been had Electron in to change all the lines and redo everything inside the chlorination system. So it's in tip-top shape now. The water plant's in good operating condition right now. And calls are down to a minimum. Like that.
Thank you, David. The assimilative capacity study is underway. It went over a little bit because we put into that the data logger, which is a new piece of equipment. Can you explain that one a little bit, David, and what the data logger was doing?
The data logger takes care of your liters per minute or second, sorry, and it takes care of the total flow. So you can go back into it, and it's not on a chart like we used to have. So it's a new system that you can actually log into it if you have the proper internet down there to your phones and that. So yeah, it's a much better system for doing your measurements accurately.
Okay, the trench box and the roads?
Trench box is, we've got it in, it's down in our shop now, so dig a hole any more than 4 feet, and if you don't slope your banks properly, you have to use a trench box, so, for safety purposes, obviously. So nobody gets hurt in the hole when we're digging water or sewer. And the paving project, it all got completed too. The boulevards, the roads that were on the agenda and all that, all with that.
Angela, go ahead.
I noticed that we budgeted 75,000 for the paving project, but I see the actual come in at 92,000. How come that come in over budget?
Probably come over budget because we had an extra paving done on some of the roads that we had sewer issues on.
Okay.
So we had to repave the road.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I got just a quick one. The tank relining, that has to be done on a regular basis every 5 years or 10 years or
Every 5 years, you gotta clean the tank.
clean it?
So
Okay,
you should have it inspected every 5 years.
okay.
Or every 2 years is probably.
Something we should look forward to doing then on a regular
They'll
basis.
shove the camera in the top.
Uh-huh.
They'll inspect your tank and see if there's any rust spots.
Okay. Okay, excellent, okay. Okay, anybody else have? Go ahead, John, sorry.
No, I think it's the planning department. I can't see to the bottom of the page. Is that the last one? No, there's still parks. There we go. There we go.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So the official plan is coming along. Our asset management, we had to make a little bit of a change in direction there and sort of redo that. So we have, we're in the middle of that process right now, and Evan is actually doing the populating of stuff and working with Marmac for formalizing our asset management plan and other regulatory requirements that come the spring or summer of 2022 that the ministry is expecting all the communities to be up and running with a service delivery process tied to an asset management. So we're pretty well on track to get that done. Again, we applied for the tech park last year, didn't get the funding, but as you know, everyone knows that that funding is now going to be cycled into the process for this summer. And the bunker gear, they spent their mandatory amount, come in a little bit extra just because of cost. That was the budget was 8,500, but total came in at 9,300. Excuse me. So if we can go to the next document. Now we're getting into the actual meat of things and I hope that the way it's set up here, thank you very much for Dale Taylor and getting it set up. We have the two main funders, of course, are gas tax and OSIF. So under gas tax, there's the actual money that we claimed and were approved on. As you can see, there were other things that were put in there, like the historic sign that's out front of the town office, the moving of the artillery gun, and some of those costs. And number two is the official plan. Again, that everyone's aware of that process. We can go down a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And in there, of course, the gas tax was the upgrades to the water plant. We show you some of the actual physical costs go in, but the important thing, I think, is anything that wasn't spent and that we can show the province that we are going to get it spent rolls over to the next year. So, no, if you could, okay. So you'll see here where we've already been told what our allocation is for 2022, and that's 71,000. we have a rolling cost that moves in there. So we have available under gas tax for this year, 184,000 for projects that are eligible for gas tax, which is basically, well, we can go through that a little later. Okay, the next page. Thank you very much, John. OSIF, the fellow that deals with OSIF with the province, his name's Joseph, so it always helps us with getting a hold of him. We have the tower project. As you know, as everyone knows, it was late in getting done, but it did get done. We projected under the roads that we would get do 115,000. We had a total of 108, so it's not too bad. Asset Management, Marmac is one of the government approved engineering firms that do asset management as a specialty, especially for smaller municipalities, because of the project itself is quite intensive, and the program is. So now we have $328,000 available for funds for OSIF. Is there anything else on that page? Did we go by something that I missed? No? Okay. Very good. So with that in our back pocket, so to speak, we have put a sort of a skeleton of on the next page. We have put sort of a skeleton of what we sort of already committed to, before there's any formal input, and a little bit of commitment I'll go through. And please interrupt if you have any questions. We will get to the specifics and your wishes very soon. Yes, Councillor.
John?
Yes.
Okay, on the 2021 budget, I see that we had a municipal tax contribution of 8,500. So that wasn't part of the surplus. We just took the surplus out of the gas tax and the OSIF.
So what the 8,500, it's a bookkeeping figure that shows was with the total expenditures, there's 100% funding. And then there's the municipal funding separate from any government funding. So that, as a general rule, either comes out of surplus or it goes on the property tax base. Either way, it's on the property tax base. So that's why it's called property tax base there.
Okay, it's because I see that there was some things that weren't done in 2021, like the elevator community entrance, which was a hefty item. So is that's all, so in other words, that's all now part of the surplus that's being rolled into the 2022?
No, it's a wash. Programs that have 100% funding show as a budget and zero as a expenditure is a wash. It's just washes out.
Okay, so that's in on the paper side, but in the reality side, if we didn't use all that money, where does that money go?
It rolls over to the next year.
Okay.
But we didn't receive any money for the
We didn't
elevator.
receive that.
We killed
No.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's my,
Okay. That's okay. So the folks at the cemetery board have, and please excuse me if I don't pronounce it properly. I know I'm going to end up on one, but I don't know how to name it. So the columbarium, they are really interested in doing a columbarium. They have a reserve for the such things but it doesn't need approval of council. So that's why it's in the capital budget. The fire museum is an ongoing project. The head frame repairs are an ongoing project. And so that's rolling over. So we show it as a commitment that we would like to keep it in our capital budget.
1 second, John. Pat's got a question here.
Yes.
On the fire museum, I was asking Steve to just check numbers. I keep looking at it. I'm in there, once a month and looking at that wall, and I may get shot, but do we really need that building? I'm scared, once we open up that wall, like it's good for us using it for food bank now and everything, because all that wall inside is supported. Once they go to work on it, I'm really sure that they're gonna be putting a whole new outside wall on. That brick's been fired, and I think, I'm wondering, are we putting good money after bad? Is there a good use for that building afterwards? I know it's one of our old originals, in that it's historical, but is it gonna cost us more to save it, and is it just going to be empty after? Or can we use those funds to finish off, the back of the doctor's office in here, to move the food bank in and make better use of those funds and take that building down? Because then we've got another open lot, which would be an open commercial lot that hopefully we could persuade a business to use. And I think in the town planning, it was saying, like we would encourage people to make the building look relatively the same. So brick front building, that kind of thing to match. But I don't know, I was just throwing it out there. It's like every time I go back in and look there, the floor does slope in that front corner. It's now sloping some. I went walking over it several times yesterday, the last 6 feet before the front. I can feel the slope in it. And if we took it down, then we take it down, but carefully enough to leave the concrete blocks on the adjoining wall, the other building, to leave those concrete blocks there and seal them so that that helps to preserve the building next door too. It would give it a true double wall there. So, any thoughts?
Do you want to answer to that, John, or Joe? You're a little bit.
I agree with Pat a lot on this one. You could open up Pandora's box on that building.
Oh, yeah.
So it could end up costing us a lot more than 15 grand. So,
And what the food bank would have left would still be a cold, uninsulated building with lots and lots of holes in it for the mice to come in, because we're constantly trapping mice in there. It's not the ideal spot for food to be in, so. But 15,000 to me is absolutely nothing towards what it's gonna cost just on that one wall.
I think we should look into it a little bit more before we.
Angela and Doug.
Angela, go ahead, and then Doug.
I don't know where 15,000 is coming from. I'm seeing
Yeah, I
25,000.
got 25 too here.
Whatever.
Also, if you look at what the cost to do demolition is, and then to make sure the outer wall of the next building is structurally sound, I think you're gonna find it's gonna cost even a lot more than any of the repairs are gonna cost. Whether the food bank stays there or not is immaterial. I think it's mainly we need to concentrate on what we're gonna do with this building itself. And I think demolition and doing something to an existing wall to make sure that it can be an exterior wall for an existing residence is going to be a lot more costly. I know that what you're saying, that once we open it up, there may be some issues, but I still think it's going to be the less cost way to go. That's just my opinion, because don't forget, that's a resident that lives there, and that's a private residence. So it's the town's responsibility to make sure that that outer wall is proper, not just now, but in the future.
But that's a double wall there now. It's just a matter of sealing.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Wilcox.
So I just want to point, but so was the fire museum wall.
Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Your Worship. Did we not request a quote from a contractor back when we were first looking at that wall? And did they not say to tear down the building and to ensure the other building was safe would be about $226,000, if memory serves correctly?
Thank you, Councilor Wilcox. I don't recall that amount, but I would suggest that the demolition would be significantly more than the cost of this repair, significantly more, and we'd have to get a specialized firm in to do it. But one of the other things too is that if we can get this fix, it's paid for 100% funding. They won't fund a demolition. So the demolition would be straightly on our dime. In my mind, I lose sleep over that building, and that's why I'm very upset that we can't get somebody in there to do that one fix. And the one fix, and maybe even 25 might even be light if it's worse than when they first started. That one fix, what it does is it gives the town more time. It preserves the facade of the building at little cost to the ratepayer. To go with a demolition, we would have to come up with some real cash to get that demolition done, for sure.
Councillor Adshead?
When we're looking for a contractor, can we not treat it like we do other things? Are we putting it out for like an RFP or an RFQ? A request for a proposal or a quote? And if we are, how are we advertising it?
What we do is we go to the contractors in the area, the limited number that there are that are experience it, and ask them for input, ask them for quotes. We've been to all the major ones, and we've been unable to get any because they're all so busy. I know it sounds like an odd excuse, but that's the case. And I'm not sure if an ad in the speaker or whatever would help that, because David knows he's made calls to many of the contractors in town. We were very lucky to get someone to do the roof on the library, that's for sure. So that's what we do, is we go out and we contact contractors that might have some time. For instance, they had the head frame and all that. The contractor said they were so busy during the regular working year, they could only do it in the winter, and that didn't happen.
Okay, I'd like to point out that I actually do books for one of the bigger contractors in the area. And I can tell you, he definitely didn't get a call from the library roof, because he called me and asked me how come he got left out of the opportunity for quoting on that job. So that's why I'm saying, I think we need to look at our process and we need to actually put it out there publicly rather than us reaching out to them, because there's always contractors around. And this isn't a new contractor that I work for. He's been in business now going on 5 years. So I think there's a lot more resources out there than we're aware of, rather than just going to the people that we always know of. Because people are moving here and some of them have existing businesses that they bring with them. So they definitely have the experience for jobs like this. We just may not be aware of them.
Good point. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I just wanted to second Angela's suggestion. I think when you're not getting anywhere, sometimes the best last resort is to send out a public invitation for anyone out there to respond and see what comes up.
Sounds good. So am I off the beaten path here if I'm saying we should leave that money there and see what we can get done with it then?
I would.
Demolition versus, okay. Now, is that gonna happen very easily, or?
Oh, yeah, no, that's not a problem. It's just that if we go with demolition, then we'll have to come up with the money to do it. If we go with a repair, it'll be covered under the grant.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I think when we get these places engineers kind of recommend to us contractors, do they not?
That's right.
That's okay.
And
So maybe these guys that are doing this job should let us know that they're interested then, because it'll make it a lot simpler, but we can go public with them too. It's not a big deal to do that. Okay, any more comments on this? We did have a plan to put a wall up there to secure it, did we not?
we do have an engineered, thank you, George. We do have an engineered plan
Yeah,
for it. And we've approached contractors with it.
okay. Okay. Okay, we'll move on, and there's no other comments on the Party Museum then from the time being?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good comments.
Okay, if we can move down the line a little bit. Public Works. So we've plunked that in there, obviously, because we are committed to doing it. Okay, down a little bit more. Oop. Water Department, we have left that blank, but you'll see from the Public Works proposal that they have talked about things in there. So that's something that we want to look at prioritizing. And that'll be in the next slide. This one, the wetlands, what we've done is create a new project. So basically what the wetlands upgrade will be is the plans and the responsibilities and the actions that come out of the actual order from the MOE on the wetlands. So they've been given us an order that we know will be accompanied by costs for sure. And so we feel pretty confident that we are going to be able to fund a plan for the wetlands, and also hopefully have enough money in that $328,000 to look at some needed sewer replacements. And I'll have David talk about that a little bit later, but we have areas in town where we need to repair, upgrade, and switch around sewers that go under people's properties and things of that nature. So we'll discuss that at the next page.
Can I ask a question? I don't see on here anything about the maintenance items that were on the 5-year maintenance plan for that Aqua submitted at the beginning of the year or the end of last year. And I thought there was some required maintenance items on there that needed to be looked at.
That's in the report that we're going to develop with Aqua on the wetlands. That's the same thing I'm talking about, not only the 5-year capital plan, but you remember that 5-year plan that Aqua put in? They based that on the preliminary order. Now we have a final order with some changes, and it's all going to be wrapped into one.
Okay, and 180,000 is going to cover that?
No, we have 380,000 available, but that would likely we'd want to split that up with the wetlands and whatever necessary sewer repairs are made in town.
Okay.
I feel confident there's enough available in OSIF to handle the wetlands for sure. And I'm hoping that after all the dust settles and we do the due diligence on quotes and things of that nature, that there's enough money in the available funding to do quite a bit of work this year.
Okay, I guess I'm just confused because I only see 180 on the budget sheet. And you're saying 380?
No, I'm saying there's 380 available. We have put in 180
Okay,
because we wanted to show that we have to do a project there.
okay,
Right now, that's a very tentative amount. It's what this document are things that we have to address that we're
Okay.
already committed to, or are more or less not rubber stamped, but are required in our capital this year.
okay.
Okay, so we can carry on down the line. Okay, there we go. So the official plan, and it'll be official plan / zoning bylaw will be in there. We've got the funding for it, and the asset management plan will be in there. We've got the funding for it. We have a total amount at Tech Park that we're showing some real costs on our side. Wellness Center, again, it's showing, as a general rule, that 10% to 12% is the expected from the municipality on these particular type of grants, where OSIF and gas tax are 100%. Normally, when you apply for a sidebar grant or specialty grant, the government normally wants you to put in some money. So we've put it into where you see municipal taxes. We could also, if when we come to the operations side of the budget, and if we know we're tight, we could try to fund our municipal portions out of dedicated reserves, and you'll see see that over on the other side where it actually shows in the recreation where we do have, some reserve dollars. Okay, and then you look at the bottom line there. So you can see that we have a fair amount already in queue. And the numbers all match up thanks to Dale.
That part.
Everything comes in. So we just heard back yesterday from OSIF that our 2021 report was correct to the dollar and the opening balance is correct to the dollar. So that's good. Gas tax, same thing. So our books are clear and well maintained, and we're going to go forward with a little bit more detail in the next page.
Very good.
So from the public works side, you'll see, I'm not going to call it a wish list, but it's every year Public Works puts together what they see of things that are needed. And council then makes a determination on what should be a priority. We do, as I say, under gas tax, do have funding for historical buildings. And so I think you can see there are items that are obvious to most of us. And,
John?
Yes?
Pat has a question here.
Okay, I was just thinking we were getting into, the roads and stuff like that. Just a question. That laneway that goes, is it from Laird to the back of the seniors apartment? Did that get fixed last year?
No.
I thought there was some reason, but, that's been asked for so many years. Can we make sure
I think
it gets sneaked onto the list somewhere?
I requested it now, it's 2 years in a row.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's on here somewhere, is it not?
Also, I don't see it.
No, I was looking for it unless,
Okay.
I thought we took that big rock out. That where we're talking, the rock that was in the middle of the road? No?
Yeah.
okay, I know there was some reason last year why it couldn't
The
all
rock
be done.
did get removed, and there was a little bit of paper, but it wasn't.
And we did have a quote for that, didn't we, Don?
Well, that should make sure that gets finished up this year too.
Yeah, we'll be making notes as council talks about this. My expectation is that we'll get through this stuff today, and I think we'll need one more capital budget meeting and get that put as a conditional approved capital budget, so that when it goes to the combined with the operational budget, decisions can be made at the last minute in the event that we have to slow down on things.
That was got a question.
Oh, go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
Thank you, George. I've been looking for the painting of handrails anywhere here. Would that be under capital budget or would that be under operational budget?
It would be under operations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you want to carry on then, John, or just?
Actually, I'd like to turn it over to David, if he can sort of walk us through these items. And that'll help council with, because that's his area. You could, David?
Yep, we'll start off with the buildings.
Yep.
Community hall rear stairway, as you're coming up the back here, the roof of that's all deteriorating. You repair it or remove it. Rear wall of town office falling apart back there. Needs to be either strapped or tinned or whatever deemed necessary to put on the back wall. Town office walkway, that's kind of in front of the town office, towards the back lane. needs to be removed and replaced. There's a lot of trip hazards in there. Classic theater front canopy, ready to fall down. So either remove it or replace it. Should be inspected by an engineer too, probably. But if you ever walk by the classic theater, you'll see a big well in there from the snow load, and it's in rough shape. Town office furnaces, we discussed either replacing or there's some the brains of the operation of the two furnaces that are upstairs need to be replaced. The PLCs and that.
Can I ask a question on these furnaces? Is there a possibility of relocating them down lower somewhere where they used to be, or
Those ones, you can replace them with new ones, smaller.
those are fairly new still, aren't they?
One is 6 years old, 7 years old, the other one's like 25.
Okay, because it's getting to be very, very annoying. Every fall we have a problem with them, and I don't know who would put heat on top of building. That's heat rises.
It's heat and air conditioning up there. That's probably why they did that
Okay.
combination.
Because the original furnaces were down below in the corner down there.
Yeah, boiler.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Looking at boiler. You got all the piping and everything for boiler materials. It's amazing.
Something to look into. Roof at the mining museum was leaking, but it seems to be, needs to be inspected this year to see the actual, and the theater needs to be inspected. Should add that to that. Water plant, water distribution. At Works Department, it would be really nice to have a water break leak detector, it's called. To find out, right now we rely on Temiskaming Shores. And find leaks in the ground is nice to have. Sewer replacement, Ruby Street to Pyrite. It got half fixed about 10, 15 years ago, I can't remember exactly. But half of the sewer got replaced, the other half was under a residence garage. And you can't move it to any other side of the garage or around. There's no slope. So you gotta go through the garage. It's not deep, but it should be done. It's no not cast plate pipe. It's in rough shape. It's got a lot of holes. Rocks holding it up right now. And it holds,
That's a sewer line.
that's a sewer line. It's a main sewer that takes in six houses on Ruby Street.
I have a question about that, David.
Yep.
Is there any way to relocate that pipe if it has to be done to the outside of that garage? So if there's problems in the future, we're not going through somebody's structure?
No, there is no room. None at all. Unless you put a pump in on there to pump your sewer somewhere.
Okay, so who in their infinite wisdom ever approved a structure to go over a sewer line like that?
Oh, no. Years and years and years.
Well, just because every time there's issues, we're gonna be going to a structure, and if there's any damage to the structure, we're gonna be responsible.
Yep, I agree.
So it's almost like we're gonna be building this person a new garage all the time.
The name of the guy was probably Fred LaRose.
Yeah. Well, we have another issue in other spots that
Yeah.
happened with the main sewers.
Not the only spot.
Joe?
Well, for that one, you brought up a good point. Why don't we look into a pump system? It might be very cost effective instead of replacing this dude's garage or floor all the time.
You have to put it in somebody's yard.
There's not a little spot anywhere you can direct it to?
Gotta be.
Once you replace it with the plastic pipe, you're maintenance free.
For how many years?
Angela, do you want something else you want to add?
No, I'm just thinking there's gotta be some way to reroute this. Has to be.
No, there isn't. Unless you want to take everybody's sewer and go down Ruby Street. Re-blast and move everybody's sewer.
The sewage from Ruby runs down across those yards and down to Pyrite, right? Is that how it works? Okay.
Is it the right one?
I know the location. Okay.
Probably no houses there when it was done. And no one thought about where sewers were when, those are building lots. Still,
They did the easiest location, easiest way to go, so you don't have to blast rock.
that's right, yeah.
David? Whoops. Yeah, David, Doug Wilcox. Is that adjacent to my house? Is that the sewer line we're talking about?
Yes, goes through my mother's property down to the backyard.
Yeah. So I know at one time we also owned the half lot where your garage would be situated in days gone by, and it was sold to you guys so you could have your garage there. So, I think all of this just kind of happened somewhat legitimately by whoever was in council back in the day. I'm not even sure if anybody was particularly aware that there was a sewer line involved underneath those places. But yeah, it would be nice to see something more permanent done there. I know I've paid for a couple of cleanouts, and it's really difficult. It's 90 feet from where it leaves my house to get to that junction. And that's an expensive cleanout every time.
Okay, so we'll give that some more thought then, I guess.
Your inlet and outlet buildings at the wetlands, the shingles are tin on them.
You think
Tin
higher
level
than
tin.
shingles, yeah? That's where I'm at.
Sewer replacement laneway Dunning Drive. It's the continuation of what we did back in 2016. Finished the job. Get to the sewer. And eventually sewer replacement on the other side of the road is going to need to be done. It's old. That would be on your side.
Oh,
Top down. Just food for thought on that.
something in the future?
Yeah. Kind of a preventive maintenance thing. Like that. And we got some,
Sorry.
Angela, go ahead, sorry.
Is there any way to get this updated with with a prioritized number system or something? Like prioritize one as being the most needed? Even if it's like 2 items that are the most needed, just to give us an idea of what's the most critical on this list?
Absolutely.
Yes, just on that, your worship, I was going to mention that at the end of this presentation and ask council, including working with the staff, administration, work, public works and NACWA, on giving a ranking system, 1, 2, 3 on all of these items. And if we get the ranking system from the council, which is very important, because don't forget, the capital budgets are your, not your legacy, but in a way your legacy. So you see something that you feel is more important, or you feel it's for safety reasons, I think we should, if you could, I was going to send a little memo about ranking it, getting it back to us, we'll accumulate, get everything together, and we'll have it all ready for the next meeting. And by that time, we'll have more quotes on particular items that we're looking at, especially if they are bigger. My expectation, even though it says contractor on here, contractor required, my expectation is if we're going to do a project that we farm it out, it's a lot easier for financial reasons. It's a lot smoother submitting the payments to a contractor than always going on the work of trying to justify the wages and things of that nature. So the government loves it if it's contractor versus costing in our own labor. As typically when we cost in our own labor, we not overcost or overstate, but we're normally a little bit more than fair. I was going to send that out after.
Okay, I was just saying though, for the water stuff, like for what we're looking at today, I'm not a public works person. I'd like to see it prioritized by public works, what they
Yes,
feel.
Yep, that's the intent.
Okay.
So just on that, traditionally, Public Works will come with a sort of a wish list and often go away upset because it doesn't get done. I think it's important that we prioritize with Public Works and Aqua, depending on what it is, also, so that it's, we make sure that if we advise council, if it's one that has to be done, then it's got a top priority.
Could I inject something just for a moment? It seems 2 out of the 3 years that we've been in office, we've had some pretty significant snowfalls. And I've heard a number of complaints from various people that lines of sight are becoming very, very difficult, either trying to pull out of their driveways onto their local roads, or even going from tertiary roads to secondary to primary, because of the higher snowbanks that arise. And I'm wondering if we could be looking at some kind of snow removal equipment that might help knock down those kinds of banks so that people have better visibility and don't find themselves in the middle of a street before they know a car is coming or not, or a pedestrian or a child.
Good thought.
Good question.
Yeah.
Under your roads and sidewalks, can we make sure that laneway is added? Sure. I don't know the name of the laneway there, but I think it has a word.
Concerning Councillor Wilcox's concern about that, could we not use the wing on the trucks to knock these snowbanks down on the corners? No?
Lord.
Lord?
We'll do it.
Rip the wings.
Okay. Okay.
There's just nowhere to put the snow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Everybody's in that situation.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can move on a little bit down the
Yep.
page.
Yeah, we're on the next page, I guess.
We're on to paving.
Yeah.
We have these in order that should be looked at for high traffic streets. We use a lot of our cold patch on these streets. That's why they're here. 1 through 5.
Mhm.
Never seen the spot that you're talking about. Haven't used cold patches. That's why it's in this one. It can be changed. Sidewalk and stair replacement. Nickel Street stairs are very bad shape. They need to be replaced ASAP. They're moving away from the walls and the railings are getting in bad shape.
Is that the one you were talking about, Doug?
Yes, it is,
Okay.
George. A fair number of people are still using it.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's on a significant tilt at the bottom end. And it seems, I haven't been tracking it that closely, only since I started walking that I've noticed it. And, but yeah, it's, parts of the staircase aren't bad, but some parts of it should certainly be addressed.
Okay.
Just got a question for that. Maybe worth it to remove those and replace them with pressure treated wood or cedar?
Slippery.
Too slippery?
Yeah.
Because I've seen those before in other communities. They look really sharp.
Yeah, the less maintenance that they're very slippery. Well, also use it as-
What about a steel staircase rated
I don't know.
with footings?
I would be very nervous with braided ones. Somebody trips and falls on that, they're gonna get like seriously cut up. Those things are sharp.
Yeah, that's true.
And the high heels are gonna, a lady with high heels walk in there.
Yeah, true. Never thought of that. Okay. Just food for thought.
I
Okay.
dealt with braided before, it's not fun.
Mhm.
And sidewalk 2 on Nickel Street on the
Second, Angela?
Just further to what you were saying about the metal, there's a, if you look at Q ramps, because I looked at them recently for a handicap ramp to the house. They're structured in such a way that there's no tripping hazard on them. And if you trip and fall on that, it's not going to hurt or do any more or less damage than it is on concrete. So I think it's something that it's at least worth looking into.
Well, I was thinking more industrial grading, not, yeah.
Well,
Okay,
no,
that's,
it does
Yeah, I know.
incorporate industrial grading on the Q ramps.
okay,
It's the same idea. They just have to be engineered, that's all.
okay. Can you get us some information on that then, or send it in to Steve and,
Well, no, you
Oh, it is?
basically got to get somebody to come in and do an engineered plan and
oh, I see, okay.
for it, because then it has to be submitted for approval because you're working with aluminum.
So,
You would with anything like that. You're going to have an engineered stamp on it.
Yeah, okay.
So just on this, and I don't know if I missed it earlier, the other main funder that we have is Nords, what just came through on from the province, and maybe I don't know if I went past it the other. So, but these items here would comply with the all the different mandates of the province on this new funding. And the funding for this year, 2022, will be 146,000, I think, in $148,000. So it does give us some room to do some work. Obviously, when you look at the numbers, decisions have to be made, but we can tell you that there's $148,000 available for this type of work without going to any other source. And apparently this funding program, you can piggyback. A lot of them you can't.
Yeah, I just penciled in the one that we were talking about that was I called it Russell Lane. It used to be Russell Street, where the rock was there, where you used to remove the rock.
oh, that's, in the day it was called Nadon Street.
I thought it was part of Russell.
No.
Okay, okay,
But right now it's a driveway.
okay.
Okay, I just have a question. If the stairs at the bottom of the stairs on Nickel are that bad, would they not be more of a priority than the paving on the high traffic streets? I know you're saying we're having the cold patch on those, but at least we can fix these. This is a risk to the public on the stairs. So wouldn't that come in a greater priority?
Yep.
Yep.
And it's sure we will prioritize it then.
Could I ask Joe if, we had a complaint from a lady a couple of years ago about potholes that were destroying her vehicle. Is that one covered here, Joe?
That's the lane.
That's Nadon, yeah.
Cool.
That's steel, okay.
Your Prospect stair replacement, is that the one on the Cobalt Hill?
Yeah, there's still needs some repairs. That's your main stair going up by the refrigerator.
Oh, that one, not the other staircase, you can shut that down.
Yeah, that one's. Back to the sidewalk needs to be replaced to the other street side.
Where?
Close, yeah. Sidewalk from, basically the store through the store. Out in the end. It's in bad shape. Aaron can tell you that. Travis, it's narrow, too narrow. As it speaks now, there's a section where kind of happened when the Travis will be on its side. That's the way it is.
That's up on Prospect.
You know,
On Nickel. Okay, okay. Okay,
Prospect stairs need to be looked at for some tracking. Chipping up. It's not as bad as obviously Nickel Street. Yeah. Stairs and retaining wall in front of the fire hall, fire department. needs to be looked at. It's in bad shape. Down by the train station, all the margins coming off the walls. Something to look into.
Another quick question on the retaining walls, where the parging's coming off. Is it too late to do a sealant on those?
Yes, you have to recharge it. Or repair it.
Yeah, it's coming off in big patches, eh?
Okay, so once it's repaired, can it be sealed and then sealed every year, every couple of years to give it a longer life?
You can do that, yeah. You have to watch what kind of sealant you put on it, because cement's gotta breathe.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking if we can get more life out of it, it would make a lot more sense because, you know, a lot of work goes into it when somebody did those
Yeah.
murals.
Well, the problem with it too, they never put drip caps on it. So all the water drips down, whether it's up onto the walls, it freezes the bus with the margin, so. That's something that should be looked at when we fix it.
Okay,
I've had drip caps on the walls. Equipment, equipment now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Matthew has a
Oh,
question.
sorry, Doug,
I was
Doug and
just won-
Matthew both.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just wondering about this talk of murals generally, and I know back in the day, I wasn't overly fond of them because they almost always become a maintenance item. And I'm just wondering if that's the kind of thing we want to continue to engage in longer term, being almost always committed to having to repair and redress these things.
Unless you've got a steady source of funding for them, I don't know.
I
Makes
just
it
think
difficult.
it's an expense.
Mhm. Something that's food for thought. Okay, Matthew?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Further to Councillor Adsed's point, have we established any preventative maintenance protocols for any of our assets, buildings, anything like that? Annual checklists, semi-annual checklists, checking integral parts of our buildings, our retaining walls, our guardrails, etc. And if we don't have that in place, I believe that would be something that would benefit us greatly. So we're not consistently spending, large dollars repairing these items when they're in a state of disrepair, and we can catch these items prior to extreme deterioration.
On that, Your Worship, one of the reasons why the asset management plan is being looked at again and pushed from administration side anyways, is the province is getting pickier and pickier, wanting to make sure that anything any application that they get from a municipality is tied into the asset management plan. So the intent is, and that's why a good part of Evan's work right now is making sure everything's in place. The intent is once you get all these items that are there, prioritized and given an actual plan, it's built into the asset management plan, so that if we know we're going to have to replace that sidewalk in 2 years or 3 years, we show it in our asset management plan. We apply for the funding and we should be able to get it. The other thing is we do have an operations manual that is required to be followed, and that we are looking at revising and putting more emphasis on that maintenance protocol planning. That's in the works right now.
Okay, Angela?
Further to Councillor Wilcox's comments, I think we have to be careful before we get rid of things like the murals and that, or not keeping them, especially given the light that we're developing a new plan going forward. And one of the things is we're trying to encourage some tourism, some Airbnbs, some bed and breakfasts, so that we do have people staying here to bring money, that are going to spend their money while they're here in town. And I know that the murals are definitely an attraction for tourists. Because in the summer, if you see, they go around, they look at all the plaques, they're looking at the murals. So I would hesitate before we keep chipping away at what makes us the unique unique town that we are as well. Like, we need to really think about this and balance it out. We can't just look at what it's gonna cost us, but we also have to look at what we're looking for, where we're looking for our town to go in 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And preserve what we can, if it's in line with where we want to see the town going.
Okay. Anybody else? All good comments. We'll keep that all in mind when we move forward. We're on to equipment now, I guess?
Yeah.
Anybody else have nothing else? Okay.
Okay, equipment wise, we're looking at a new trackless or refurbished trackless plow. The asset piece of equipment first, ours right now is starting. When it was bought, it's a 2002. It was refurbished when we bought it. That's the newest one we have. Nice to get another one. Replacement of our vac truck is much needed. It's rotted out. We don't need new, a good used one would be fine. We use that for cleaning our catch basins, some of our manholes. Sucking purposes is what we use it for. If we don't have it, our sewers are gonna get clogged up with sand. And if we get a contractor in to help us suck them out, they run you $12,000 a week. Have a contractor, and it'll take up to 2 to 3 weeks to do the job. Okay. Our plow truck, our white plow truck we have, is a 5-year fix-it plan. We got rid of the other one. It's on its 7th year now, really, or 5th year, 6th year actually. It's been running. We purchased it for $25,000. I think we got our use out of it. But it's still good for another year if it had to be. Half-ton wise, we have 2 models, 2 2010 models. One is unsafe. It's the Chev. One of the doors don't open properly. You can't get parts for rotten out. Eventually, we're going to need a new one. Lawn tractor. When the one lawn tractor was bought at Husqvarna, it wasn't a commercial lawn tractor. It was a residential lawn tractor. It's very dangerous trying to go up hills with it. Aaron can tell you for a fact. It'll spin you right around and spit you off the machine. If you're not good with it. It's more of a flat surface lawn tractor. If we do end up getting or looking into a sidewalk, we can actually get the room attachment with it. So if not, we need a new room attachment. Ours is roughly 20 years old now, and does all our streets in town and sidewalks for sweeping. Snow blower attachment on the trackless right now is getting in bad shape. It was, it's used quite often, especially in the heavy snowfalls. And if our trackless can't go through the blade, it will obviously go through the snowblower. Tandem dump truck. It's on our wish list. A good used one would suffice for us. And an air compressor. A good used air compressor. The one we have now is a 1972. So very hard to get parts for it though. It's for your shopping. No, that's the truck. Our jacket. Okay. It blows out our valves or something like that.
I know where to get some good ones.
Yeah, I had a price on one for 10 grand.
Okay, Angela?
going back to the half-ton trucks, one's a 2010, or the two of them are 2010 models. Obviously, the third one's a newer one. And you can't get parts for them?
The 2010 Chevy, yeah,
Like 30 years old.
yeah, it's true.
Even through a wrecking yard, you can't get used parts. Or have we?
We're running into safety issues again.
Well, as long as it fixes it so it passes the safety.
I'll leave that to them.
Yeah, those are daily drivers. They get a lot of use.
Yeah, but we're not.
I know, it's budget time.
Boxes are on and off it.
Yeah.
It's,
It's
it was
just-
purchased used. It was a
Pardon?
purchased truck.
Yeah, it's-
2010 stuff, it was a used truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see, okay, yeah. So it's not a 2010, it was bought for us in 2010.
No, it's a 2010 bought for us, 12.
Okay.
Okay, so can we also get your equipment list prioritized then? Because obviously we definitely don't have the budget for all of this.
No. It's pretty well prioritized now.
The big ticket items are the head of the list, David. Come on. Unless you want like a 10% tax increase on your taxes and your mom's taxes, I don't see that happening. Being realistic.
No, hey,
Okay, stick to the agenda.
Well, no, I'm just pointing out that it'd have to be a hefty tax, not for just for them, for everybody. So if we have a better idea of like what's like really important from your point of view.
From my point of view, our vacuum truck and our tractor, right at the two at the top.
The two at the top.
Or the three at the top is our most important right now.
Okay,
So these
Doug?
are in order.
Thank you, George. I think it might be helpful too. Quite often you say that a good used machine would be good. So perhaps if we could replace those new capital dollars with something that would reflect a reasonable price for a good used one would also be helpful in this decision-making process.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at now.
okay, any other, is that it for equipment then? There's nothing?
No. That's it. If you look at our asset management, majority of the equipment's in the red. Just a heads up.
Yeah. There was another piece of equipment that's not on this list and it's not belonging to Works, but it belongs to the town. It's a fire truck. Yeah. Okay. Is there any comments, any questions anymore on equipment or? Go ahead, Doug.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There.
Oh crap, it just went. Nope, I'll have to pass.
Okay. Angela?
You just said something about a fire truck. I see it's on there, but there's no budget number beside it.
Yeah.
Are they
Yeah,
getting-
it was on the other list, yeah.
Are they getting quotes?
They're actually also looking for used, and whenever something comes up, they try and see what they can do with it.
Okay, so are they gonna give us any kind of a number on like?
We're trying to talk to the chief about getting something put in. We haven't seen his budget yet, have we? So he'll submit his budget, and it would be nice if he could put a number in there. Doug?
Going back to John's comment about asset management, this would appear to be the kind of thing that would apply there, starting to set aside money to be able to pick up a new or a used fire truck at when it's advantageous to find one out there.
Absolutely. Okay,
That's
go ahead, Joe.
Owner.
Yeah.
I just got one question for you, Dave.
Yep.
With the water and all that kind of stuff, valves, they seems to always go piping, there's no major piping to do with fresh water, shut off valves, anything like that? Before we allocate all money over and then suddenly, oops.
North Avenue water repair, there's one there.
Oh, okay.
Water main repair on North Avenue. There's full gas piping one. Goes through, residence yard.
And no valves, no nothing that you think we should look into
Well, there is valves, but,
to get costly?
yeah, those buffers. Well, then you're looking at digging and paving and stuff with the valve. But right now, most of our valves are new. Some don't work very well. That's why we exercise them.
That's where I was going. If you need something to be replaced, we get to know.
I can get you a list.
It would be nice, yeah. That would help. Thanks, man.
Angela?
Going back to the Classic Theater, the front canopy, can we get a cost on that if we were to take down that canopy and just put a front face sign on the building?
That's what I would do first.
Well, I think going forward, it's probably the most cost-effective way to go.
Yeah.
So can we get a price range on a quote for that? Some idea of a quote on the furnaces for the town office or ideas so that we have some firm numbers to look at, as well as a quote of what it would cost to inspect the roof of the mining museum and the theater. I believe you said it was also the theater that needed to be looked at.
That, you have to do that in the spring or summer. You can't inspect that.
Well, no, I would think not.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll take notes on all of that stuff and do get quotes and. But if we still have to know what the budget would for these things, that's the beauty. It's nice to get quotes, but it's not in the budget, it makes it very difficult to do.
Well, yeah, but you
Okay.
don't know how much to put in the budget unless you have a quote either.
Well, yeah,
And if we're picking and choosing, we gotta know what we're picking and choosing as far as dollar amounts go.
absolutely.
And what's the difference between $100,000 Cadillac and a $10,000 little Chevette?
More comfortable.
Sometimes you gotta suck it up and drive with your knees.
Price of
raised.
gas nowadays, I'll take the Chevette.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, is there any other questions for Dave or Aaron? So we want this stuff prioritized, definitely.
Mhm.
So, your worship, if, just from my closing part is that we would want to, I'd like to send out a memo encapsulating things that went on today and also asking for council to a priority. We'll establish a priority system and ask you to prioritize as best you can, given that some items don't have quotes and everything else. But once you do that, our plan anyways administratively is sit down with Public Works and with Aqua, particularly on the wetlands, and really zone in on planning so that at the next capital meeting, we have firm numbers. There are priorities. We know exactly how much we have available to us. I would think this year we can't go very hard on the municipal ratepayer on the capital side because we're going to have more on the operations side. So I think what we have to do is go with the pots of funding that we have, which are fairly significant. We have a significant amount of money this in 2022 to get things done. So once we have the priorities, live within that budget, then we can get things going.
Okay, absolutely. And I do agree with Councillor Ad said, I think we can get quotes on the Classic Theater canopy right now. That shouldn't be a weather related thing, and the furnace as well, something has to be done. That's as far as I'm concerned. It's, you don't have to wait for spring or summer for that. I have no idea what the solution is there, but I don't have to because I'm not an expert at it.
Do you guys have an idea what you want for furnaces?
Something that throws heat to the right spot. Yeah, I don't know. I, like I said, I have no idea.
We got a great HVAC guy that come take a look, but he won't be back until about another 3-4 weeks. So, and he knows his stuff.
Because I know this has not worked for how many years?
I think furnace is not, and we also, don't we have to go put that out?
Yeah, absolutely. Doug?
Yeah, thank you, George. I'm all for heat. That's a great idea. I just wanted to comment on the canopy at the theater too. I remember years ago when they were designing the lighting to go on top of that, and Doug Shearer and his friends were all up there playing around, and one of the fellows who built it walked by and said, "You do realize that's not secure. It's not solidly built to be used for things like," they were planning to put a marquee board up there, which would have meant going up and playing around with letters and designs and all that good stuff. So if we're going to replace the whole thing, then let's do it properly and get it back to the original concept for it, which was to become a display item.
Mhm.
And failing that, then let's see what is cost effective.
Nice, yeah. Good point. Matthew, you had your hand up? No? Okay. Angela?
Yeah, there's LED marquee signs that you can get where they can actually go up and change their lettering if they want on what's upcoming for their shows.
Good point.
That it'd be a lot more cost effective and a lot less maintenance than what's currently there.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
I just want to say that we got to be careful where we're hitting the taxpayers too, because we're getting money close on par with taxes in some of the other municipalities, and we have nowhere near the services the other municipalities have.
Oh, I think we got better services. I think we have better services in most instances.
Okay, and we're not a growing municipality either is a problem. We're not a developing one.
Okay. Understood.
I just want to be the voice of reason.
Okay, John?
I thought I was the voice of reason. No, that's fine. We'll put together something for a little bit of a memo to everybody, and you all have the stuff in front of you if you want to look at right now and work on a prioritization process, and so we can get going. And I think we're more or less on track with most other municipalities because I follow it in our budget process and our timing. So, but you know, it would be nice if we get everything out and established, let's say, first part of April. If we can get through that, that might be a little bit of aggressive time frame, but maybe the end of April.
Okay, Angela?
Sorry, just one other thing. I want to make sure that none of our paving encompasses paving any more of the strips that are currently grass. Given that if you looked at our initial plan, we're supposed to have be developing green spaces.
10-4. Understood, okay. Anything else to add, anyone? So is it safe to say we can adjourn?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Okay. Be it resolved that special meeting of council be adjourned at 3:23. Mover and a seconder, please. Doug and Matt, all in favor? Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen, on an afternoon. It's super.